Gianni the Greek is number one in overall baseball profit this season, increasing client bankrolls by 65%. In true WagerTalk fashion, instead of raising the price on hot handicappers, we lower them. Until Sunday at midnight, you can save $220 off the cost of Aces baseball selections through the World Series when using coupon code ACE249, coming out to $249 or just over $80 per month. Ace is also number one this season on MLB props, and as an added bonus, we will include all of Ace's MLB props for free.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk. Today it is July 28th, a Wednesday. I've got a round of golf waiting for me. Steve Merril with us today, and we've got a quick show, I guess. Rob Veno joining us right off the top, talking a little baseball. Teddy loves when I actually say the games that they're going to be talking about, so I won't. And Arhtur DiCesare as well, and he's awesome. Steve, I heard yesterday was a little bit of a technical shit show, if you will. But that does happen from time to time, and I think we got an amazing tech staff. So what can you do? How are you, brother?
Doing well, man. And Monday was for me, as you know, my internet crashes right before the show, so you got to experience that. And then things are going smoothly. Yesterday, we got all of our 6 plays in by Matt Josephs and Brian Leonard, and then boom, Brian crashed the internet. I'll blame it on him because he's not on today. But we had a great hard do with Dave Sharapan, so it's the first time in history we can say we had 2 Wager Talk Today episodes on YouTube in one day. So we made history, at least. We could say it that way.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. Steve, you watching the Olympics?
Yeah, it's funny, Prez. I'm watching a lot more than I planned on watching, even though I'm not betting it and I'm not handicapping it for the most part. And I figured out why. When you do this for 25 years, as you and I do, you kind of get a little dull to sports sometimes. And you and I will watch Netflix, other things at night. We try to balance. But I always find myself watching, the NBA finals for the most part, the NFL playoffs, the MLB playoffs and World Series. And I think it's because I like games that matter. In college football, if it's a big regular season game that matters, because they play so few. And I think that's what it is about the Olympics. It's like, other than maybe the semifinal heats, these games are all for gold. I mean, these are finals, they're single events, and I find them interesting and I find them compelling. Plus, I like seeing different sports, a little water polo. Yeah. I haven't caught team handball yet. Team handball and rugby 7. I did see some sevens rugby.
Rugby 7's the best. Favorite. I've watched every single rugby 7's game. I think they should maybe make the clock just a little longer. 14 minutes isn't enough, but man, I mean, that is a sport that I don't know how it hasn't taken hold in America. I mean, it is a 14-minute sport with more action than a basketball game has. It's never ending. These are the toughest mother-you-knows on the planet and the fittest athletes. And my girl gets very excited when watching Rugby 7. So it does have a lingering aftertaste, if you will. Steve.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. They all like NFL fullbacks and tight ends and linebackers, basically, is the quickest way to describe it, probably.
Yeah. How much acid you think the people who founded the Olympics took when making up some of the sports that we watch? I mean, I look at it like this. When do you think that Michael Phelps swims laps? He's 3-4 years retired now. You think he swims laps every day?
I saw an ad last night I think it was one of the workout props, and he was doing like lifting and rowing. They showed him working out on a bike. It might have, it wasn't Peloton, but it was one of those companies. They actually showed him working out. I was thinking the exact same thing, Prez, because he looks a lot older than I remember when I see him on TV now. And we looked up his age the other night. I think he's 34, 36-ish. And he partied a little bit, as you know, in between the Olympics. So I was curious about that as well.
No, well, I mean, like you look at these synchronized swimmers and it's like, do you think when they retire, they like head out to their backyard pool and do synchro for a little while?
Synchro, yeah. That's a good point.
Like, in other words, if these people don't do it after they retire, then why did they do it in the first damn place? Like, how much... It just demonstrates, like, I'm playing golf later today. I'm playing hockey tomorrow night. Like, these are actual things that people actually do. And if you don't do the Palmer horse or the parallel bars after you retire, you shouldn't have done them in the first place. I would never want to put my child in a sporting event where the only option is gold medal and the entire journey there was shit ass. And that's what so many of these sports are, because if you're not going to do them after you retire, you shouldn't have done them. You weren't having fun. You didn't enjoy the process. So why the hell did you do it in the first damn place? Anyway, that's my thoughts for the day. I don't even understand. I mean, synchronized swimming, synchronized diving, one-legged race. I mean, it's like, it's just
potato
absurd.
sack race.
Yeah, the spoon. I mean, the egg on the spoon.
The egg carry. Egg carry. No thumb allowed. No thumb allowed on the egg carry.
Yeah, the wheelbarrow is coming out soon. America is minus 200 in the wheelbarrow, dude. Yeah.
You're right about some of these sports. I saw like men's canoeing, which was pretty cool. It's in like choppy water. And I'm thinking, where do these guys compete? Like in the US, I've never seen anything like for a men's canoeing competition, so it is kind of interesting. But, it transitions well into baseball. We're talking a lot about today because the Olympics, of course, the finals last night, Dave Sherpin referenced it when he's always a big softball guy. Another big time USA team does not win last night. Japan gets them 2-0 for the gold medal. They'd played back in 2008, and I believe that's the last time they'd had softball in the Olympics, which is just insane to me. And of course, Japan, a big baseball country. We did not have baseball in 2016, I believe, in Rio or softball. And we don't have softball in 2024 in Paris. I don't know about baseball. I'm thinking maybe they're not having baseball. We'll have it in 28 in LA, Los Angeles, and probably in 32, I believe, is Australia. But it's crazy to me, Prez, that when you're talking about all these off sports that they always have, that we freaking don't even have like softball and baseball half the time. I get there in a lot of countries with women's sports, but baseball especially is just crazy.
Dude, what about golf? Why isn't golf in the Olympics?
True.
I mean, you sit there and you're like shocked that baseball isn't in the Olympics, and it's like, it's a thing. It's
more
a thing.
International. And golf is very international, and it's an individual.
I mean, nobody has water rapids in their backyard practicing freaking kayak canoe, whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Yoshi wants to know any thoughts on Simone Biles withdrawing for mental health. Look, this is a touchy subject. It's impossible to go there. I feel like if she was having issues, and clearly she was, she had a tough qualification. She had a very bad flippity flip. I don't know what the hell that thing is. The volt. Yes. The volt. Let's come up with an idea where someone jumps on something, turns over, hits their hands in the air, does 6 flips, and lands on their feet. Because I see that at the grocery store very often. Anyway, if she had problems, she was hurting her team. I think it was a selfless move to remove herself. And the team did well. It got a silver medal. And it's a shame for Simone. I mean, the entire Olympics in America have been all about one single person. And I guess that person couldn't handle the pressure. And neither you or I, Steve, are here to judge that.
I agree. And something else to keep in mind is how young these people are. I mean, these aren't 30-year-old NBA veterans.
Well, she's
like
not.
LeBron James, 30. She's not. But like Osaka's, the Japanese tennis player is one that comes to mind as well. She was the number 2 seed. She loses as a minus 600 favorite the other night in the round of 16. The Olympic torchbearer for her home country. Although I read more about her. She's lived in the U.S. since she was age 3, 20 of her 23 years. So I mean, she's Japanese as the torchbearer is crazy. But she also, I think, at some point in the last year or so, took some time off for the same thing. And she's young. I mean, so it's hard to put ourselves in their shoes. But by the way, I do have someone that has an opinion on that. I did Sports Rage late night with our buddy Gabe Morency, and he loves to rant.
No doubt.
As I'm on hold last night, Prez, he did like a 5 to 10 minute just rant on that. People can check out the replay on Sports Grid Radio, I think, on YouTube. So there is somebody with an opinion. And as I'm on hold with him, I have the Olympics on in the background, and an ad for some athletic apparel company with Simone is on TV at the same time. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah. No, listen, we got to get into it just really quick. Yes, I did make a mistake. MDR pointed out golf is actually in the Olympics.
But a lot of
Snooker
times
isn't
it's
and
not,
darts
though.
aren't.
But a lot of times it's not, though. And I would not be shocked in Paris that it's not, maybe. So we'll see. Japan's a big golf country, baseball country. It's depends on that, obviously.
Another person wrote skateboarding is like X Game stuff, shouldn't be in the Olympics. No, bullshit. Skateboarding is a perfect example of something that should be in the Olympics because it's a thing. People do it. People do it non-competitively. The reason
and it's popular.
And people who don't compete still do it. It's something people enjoy. Unlike luge. Not to get into the Winter Olympics.
I want to luge, actually. I want to luge.
You would do that?
Oh, yeah. I've always loved sledding. We don't get a lot of snow in Virginia, man. And
they're at like 200 miles an hour on a sheet of ice. Do you know that the first skeleton competition?
No, skeleton is different. I don't think I would do skeleton. I wouldn't do skeleton. I was just going to say that skeleton is when you're head down first. Luge, you got your feet first. I think that's a totally different situation. Head down, belly first is much, much more dangerous in my skeleton. I'm not sure I would do. It's luge, I would.
Okay, Joey Falcone is leaving us. He says the show is driving him nuts today because we're not, I guess, talking betting. You know, there's so many betting opportunities going on. Anyway, where's Rob Veno? Do we have a Rob Veno sighting? Oh, there he is, Robert Veno.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Rob, I don't want to get your take on the Olympics because people are going bananas. But
let me say this, Prez. Let me real quick say this. Oh, good. I'm glad you asked.
I wanted it anyway.
I'm totally with you guys on rugby sevens. Holy crap! I mean, if you don't respect those guys, my goodness gracious, that Fiji team has been incredible for a long time, and I watched them play Australia the other morning. They ran like 6 a.m. here on the East Coast. But I'm all about rugby sevens. I just wish I understood the rules a little bit better. But it looks like there aren't many rules. Just run and try and lateral
Rob,
before you get blasted.
Rob, I played rugby sevens for 3 years. What do you want to know?
All right, real quick. I saw a guy the other day. They have the ball, right? And normally they lateral, but this guy decides to just run and kick it forward like a punt. I didn't know that was allowed.
Yes.
But that is allowed.
It's a free ball.
And anyone can get the ball when he kicks it. His teammates had to have been behind him when he kicks it. So if they're behind him when he kicks it, and then he kicks it over the line, and a guy runs up and catches it, then he goes all the way. And that's a very common maneuver in rugby union. There's 3 types of rugbies: league, union, and seven. It's a very common move in union. It happened a lot more. Rugby's changed over the last 20 years. Rugby used to be foot to hand, a lot of kicks. Now they've actually lowered it down. And if you watch sevens, they're almost never kicking. But they have anything else? Do you need me to explain anything else? I
got to ask Rob real quick if he cashed on the USA minus 40 yesterday. They won by 54 over Iran. We did touch on that. Obviously a bounce back spot for the USA, but as Rob and I both said, we couldn't name one player on Iran. I do have the box score here. Looks like Iran went with their starting 5 as expected. Kazemi, and they didn't do much at all. But I mean, the USA bounced back. What it's worth, I'm not sure, but it's something we've been following.
I did bet it, Steve, but I bet the total over, and it got over 166.5. So
really nice.
Just figuring that the U.S. was going to go for 100 plus, they did. You needed the other side to get there, so I had to do some calculations and some research. But it got there rather easily, so I'm happy.
Nice.
Rob Veno joining us, number 1 handicapper in NBA 2 years in a row. Rob, let's get into some baseball talk. Detroit playing Minnesota tonight. How are you taking this game apart? What should we do?
Yeah, I think for the viewers, Prez, first 5 with Detroit, you'd bring back $1.05. Full game with Detroit, you bring back $1.20. I'll give you reasons why I think both are good. Willie Peralta, the starting pitcher for the Tigers, pretty rough outing last time after really being dominant the previous 6 outings. But the KC Royals got to him a little bit. He gave up 5 earned runs, 5 hits, and 3 walks in his 5 innings. left the game behind. They wound up losing that game. For Peralta, it was kind of rare for him to give up 2 home runs in 5 innings. He's only given up 3 home runs the entire rest of the season when he's been on the hill. So that spans, 7 full starts in 36 2/3 innings. So he's not necessarily a long ball pitcher. But in the last 2.5 weeks, he's faced this Twins lineup twice. And here's what the Twins have done against him. 146 batting average, 281 on base, 510 OPS, 229 slugging. He's been tremendous, only allowed 13 base runners in 12 innings against this team, 1.08 whip, 1.11 ERA. So it's very, very recent, Prez. It's recent dominance, so I like that. I'll be with that. The other side of this coin is J.A. Happ, who faced Willie Peralta in a matchup 10 days ago. The Tigers won that game 7-0. They led 5-0 after 5. And in fact, when I said the first 5 innings to start this, 2 of the 3 times that J.A. Happ has pitched against the Tigers have led after 5 innings. Happ was really hammered third time around. The starts have gotten, I don't want to say progressively worse, but that third time around was really worse for him. So the Tigers hitters may have some familiarity with him now, which would put them in good shape here. Last point to make here would be with the bullpens. And albeit neither one has a really good one, Prez, Detroit's is in far better shape. How about this? The 7 guys that are in the Twins pen for this game, 6 of those will, if they come in today, will either be on back-to-back days work, 3 and 4 days, or 4th and 5th and 5 days, which is the exact definition of bullpen fatigue at the end of July. So I like that. I like the Tigers' comeback last night. Listen, they're down 5-1 top of the ninth. They hit a grand slam, then they win in extra innings. The momentum probably carries here. Give me Detroit plus the price. Either way, guys, full game, first 5. I think they're both good.
I'll tell you what, Rob. I'll tell you a guy who did not like the Tigers' comeback last night, and that was yours truly, Steve Merril, as I missed a 3-0 sweep because I had the Twins on the run line -1.5 with a 5-1 lead in the top of the 9th inning. It does appear they're playing harder now, though, after kind of just taking the weekend off. They became sellers. They got rid of some offense. They put up only 3 runs over Saturday and Sunday. But they have hit the ball well the last 2 games. Detroit's hitting the ball well. Any thoughts on the total? It's a pretty high one, though, at 10 for this early matinee, which starts in about an hour.
Yeah, and my first inclination, Steve, always with these so-called getaway day games, although these 2 teams don't play tomorrow, but it's still an afternoon game to end this series. Umpires like to get out quick. Sometimes the offenses are half asleep when they walk up to the plate, so it's hard for me to get to overs in these games. I didn't play it. If I had to, I think I might look under. But that would be my best guess. That wouldn't really be a recommendation.
Rob Veno, everybody. Rob, let's move on to the Atlanta Braves New York Mets game. Game 4 of this matchup. And I'd love to know how you're betting it. I outright passed on this game. I couldn't find a thing.
Yeah, I think, again, I'll give the bettors out there, Prez, options. Both involving the first 5 innings, though. The Mets first 5, -120. I'd prefer the Mets first 5, lay the half a run, take $1.20. Couple of things here. I'm going to ride Tyler McGillis and this current streak that he's on. I mean, this month he's made 5 starts, and he's been a godsend for the New York Mets, 25 2/3 innings pitched, 1.09 whip, 1.75 ERA. He hasn't allowed a run in his last 12 innings, which encompasses his last 2 starts, both 6 innings with 0 runs. And if he can do that today with the Mets bullpen fully rested, I think they'll be in pretty good shape. I'm not going to say reluctantly, but I'm not going to say emphatically either. But I'm going to fade Max Fried and his road numbers here, guys, because his road numbers have been so different than his home. A lot like Aaron Nola of the Philadelphia Phillies. But if you take a look at Max Fried's 7 road starts this year, 33 innings pitched, that's an average of less than 5 innings per outing, which is horrendous for a guy that's supposed to be your number 1 starter. In those 33 innings, he's allowed 58 base runners. Here are his totals on the road this year. 1.76 whip, terrible. 6.55 ERA, 333 batting average against, 948 OPS, and 392 on base percentage. 556 slugging gets thrown in there too because J.D. Davis and Pete Alonso, both right-handed power hitters, will be in this lineup against against Fried. So the differentials between home and road, I won't go through them, but they are very, very severe, as severe as any pitcher in Major League Baseball this year. Jared Eichhoff for the Mets last night probably did this Mets bullpen a huge favor by getting shelled immediately because the Mets didn't have to go to any of their live arms. That means Familia, Trevor May, Seth Lugo, Edwin Diaz, all rested and ready to go here. The Braves in pretty good shape in their bullpen too. It probably doesn't come into play here though because we're only going to bet the first 5. We're going to look at McGill through the first 5. I like the way Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso have heated up after the break. Jeff McNeil, 9 of his last 24, 375 average, last 7 games. Pete Alonso, 16 of 48 since winning the home run derby and 5 home runs since the break. So give me the Mets here. For those of you who want to trust bullpens, Mets full game, go at it. I'm not going to talk you off it, but I like first 5. I'll lay the half around with the Mets. Tyler McGill's been really, really good.
Yeah, and Rob, one guy that has not cooled off, as you said, after the home run derby is Alonso, back-to-back winners in 19 and 21. And this is a guy that's made more money winning the home run derby than he's made all year playing baseball with his contract. He's made over $1 million something or a couple million. He only makes like 600,000. So if there's ever a guy you think it would mess up, it's him who makes more money in one night than he does all season. I'm going to ask you real quick about the NL East, NL Least, whatever you want to call it. My Washington Nationals, who are sellers, beat your Phillies. It looks like the Nationals haven't quit. Mets, as you mentioned, lost to the Braves. Our friends at FanDuel, Mets minus 240, Phillies plus 380, Braves 600, Nationals 20-1. So Mets, Phillies, or Braves. More importantly, Phillies or Braves. Can either one of them catch the New York Mets right now? It's a 3.5 game deficit in the NL East.
Well, can they catch them? Absolutely. My opinion is they probably won't. I think the Mets, just reading some quotes this morning, they're extremely happy that for the next 5 days, or for the next 11 days, they do have a starting pitcher penciled in. There's been a lot of to be determined next to the Mets and that starting pitching staff recently, but now they've got guys listed for the next 11 games, which is a good sign for them. They've really overcome some adversity to the injury list here, but DeGrom probably back in August. Carlos Carrasco is going to make his first start for this team on Friday. Let's see if he becomes a positive addition to the Mets staff. I think the Mets win it, Steve. If you're just shopping value, I think the Phillies would be your best choice. Again, with some trade deadline moves to be made. One fell short for the Phils yesterday. Tried to acquire Tyler Anderson. One of the medicals for a Philly going back to Pittsburgh didn't check out, so Anderson winds up on Seattle.
Rob Veno, everyone. Guys, Michael O'Brien with a little joke. He likes synchronized betting. That's when all experts pick the same team.
Wouldn't a parlay be? I guess you're right. You're right.
Those are guaranteed losers. Like the 3 of us have been doing this for 30 years each. And when 10 handicappers are on the same play, that would be equivalent of losing all your money. It's amazing how that works, Steve?
There is something to that. I would say if we tracked it, it's probably not 50%. Yeah, because, and keep in mind, the betting line is pretty accurate. We're all pretty good at this. The odds makers are pretty good at it as well. And there should never be a time where the odds makers are off that much. So when it's a 90-10 ratio, hey, it's like my fade the public, right? It did very well last year in the NFL. And that's not always just square money. That's also some sharp money sometimes that pushes lines and betting tickets. And it was 31-7 fading at the last half of the season. So consensus groupthink is not always a great thing in betting.
Robert Veno, you got a futures bet for us in baseball. What is it? And then we got to get you out of here. Steve, no follow-up.
Yeah, let's go through it real quick. I'm going to play. I'm pretty high in the Chicago White Sox, guys. Obviously, Eloy Jimenez is now back in that lineup for a couple of games. And guess what he did last night? He hit a game-winning 3-run homer in the 8th inning. Luis Robert is in AAA now. He's on the way. These are both huge right-handed power bats that the White Sox expected to have in the lineup to start the season. They will be in down the stretch here. You can take back plus $3 with the White Sox. The Astros are the current favorite. If you just project ahead, guys, real quick, you'll probably find if you guess the White Sox finish with the second-best record, their opening playoff match would be against Boston, Tampa Bay, or Oakland. I think they have advantages against all of those. I went through the hitting reasons why there's certainly – and I think there's a trade deadline move to be made maybe for a middle infielder since Nick Madrigal has gone down by the White Sox. We'll wait and see. But the starting rotation, good enough to get by either of those. Lynn, Giolito, Rodon, Dallas Keuchel. And the bullpen is as good as either of those, if not better, if you ask me. Liam Hendricks has been money at the end of games. Michael Kopech has started to really turn it up out of the pen. Aaron Bummer from the left-hand side. I think there's a lot of reasons, guys, at plus $3 to like the White Sox to win the AL pennant. So that's what I'll leave you with here today.
Robert, great stuff, man. Anything to promote?
I will promote a 4-0 night last night in Major League Baseball.
Nice.
How about that? Because it's been rare for me to hammer home some winners, but it was a good night last night, 5-0 this week. 4% best bets last 30 days. Number one at WagerTalk in MLB, 21-12. Today we have a 4% up right now. The game I put up, and generally I don't put them up early, Prez. This one went up 9 o'clock this morning, so I like this one a lot. 4% best bet winner wasn't discussed here on the show. Go ahead and find it at WagerTalk.com.
Brilliant handicap. Great analysis. Rob Veno, you'll be joining Steve on Friday as I've got another golfing situation going. I am on a mission. What, Steve?
Making them play, Rob. I like how you describe it's a situation like your arm is being twisted to get out on the golf course.
Well, it's definitely being twisted to get out on the golf course at 10:30 in the morning. I mean, I've been told it's light out at that time. Who knew?
I'm with you on that.
Get out of here, Rob. We'll be right back, everybody. Steve's Big Game Breakdown, the penalty box segment, and, of course, Arhtur DiCesare. Wager Talk.
Woo! I like it.
Dave Koken and Andy LINQ are not only crushing the greens in 2021, number 1 and number 2 this year, increasing client bankrolls by 99%, but they also did the same in 2020 with Andy producing 31 in profit and Dave 26. For a limited time, you can get the next 5 PGA Tour events from both Dave Koken and Andy LINQ for the half the price. As an added bonus, any Olympic golf or additional golf tournaments released will be included for free.
It's time for a little big game breakdown here on Wager Talk Today for Wednesday night, July the 28th. Going to look at a barn burner of a game. 2 worst teams in baseball right now, in my opinion, Arizona and Texas. But just because it's an ugly duckling doesn't mean that there's not some wagering opportunities on both the side and total. I'm going to look at the side briefly, but I think the total gives us the best value. And I would lean under 9 in this game on that total is the best way to play it. But I'm sure not going to lay juice with the Texas Rangers. You know, I had that theory last night. They were on 11 straight losses. I was looking at the D-backs plus 130. Yes, they lost 5-4. Yes, Texas snapped that 11-game win streak, but not so fast, my friends. They still didn't hit the ball well. They had only 6 hits for those 5 runs. And I don't think that's the buy sign with the Texas Rangers. I still think they're a falling knife. So I'd be very careful with Texas. But what's keeping me on the total instead of the side again tonight as the stronger option is that Arizona has been very bad this year against right-handed pitchers. And that was the case last night. They put up only 4 runs against a righty, but their road splits against righties and lefties have been really extreme this year. Keep in mind, this is a team that lost 24 road games in a row a couple months ago, the most in over 100 years in baseball. At one point about a month ago, they'd lost 38 out of 42 games. With that said, though, they actually have a better record still against losing teams this year than the Texas Rangers. Rangers are just 10-17 after that win last night against sub-500 teams. Arizona's in that very tough NL West where they've played 62 games against winning teams. Arizona is 18-22 against losing teams. So I would lean towards the D-backs once again, but I think the under 9 is the best play because, as I mentioned, Arizona has struggled against right-handed pitchers, especially on the road this season. They're batting 31 points less. They're batting only 207 against righties. And runs scored per 9 innings. I'd like to look at per 9 innings, less than 3 runs a game per 9 innings against righties, 5.5 against lefties. So I'm a little apprehensive to fade Texas when they have a righty on the mound. I think the under is the better way to play this. And just getting back to the Rangers, yet they snapped that 11-game losing streak. Once again, only 6 hits, though, for those 5 runs. Before last night's win, in their previous 10 losses, they'd scored 2 runs or less in 8 of those 10 games. They're still ice cold offensively. Arizona struggles against righties on the road. Let's take a look at Arizona and Texas under 9. By the way, last night's game landed 5-4. The total was 8.5. It missed by half a run. We get that critical number 9 tonight. I like Arizona, Texas under 9, goes at 8 o'clock Eastern Wednesday night. Back to you, Presidente.
Great stuff, Steve. And I know you had a great night last night. Rob Veno did too. I as well had a great night. Remember way back last week when I went 0-3? Well, now I'm on a 3-1 baseball run, so the gods have been kind. 21-7, my last 28 baseball plays, and I have one baseball play up tonight. Steve, before we bring Art in, I just want to talk Bitcoin for a second, and if you have anything to add, go ahead. But, Yoshi and some of our viewers, they talk Bitcoin a lot, and here's the situation. This is my take on Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano, and that's pretty much the only 3 I buy. I do have a position in XRP, but it's very small. My take is simple. Guys, stop asking me about Bitcoin and crypto. Every day it's $8,000 move. It's 22% one way or the other. This is an extremely volatile situation, and it's not going to change. The volatility will remain. It doesn't matter to me whether Bitcoin went up today or it went down today. It doesn't matter that it was, it moved 8,000 over the last week. All that matters is where this thing is going to be in 2 to 3 years from now. My take on this is really straightforward. In the history of civilization, there has never been a bet with a larger upside than this bet. And I think it is irresponsible for anybody who has a wife and children and a future ahead of them where they need money. I think it is irresponsible if you don't put 10% of your savings on either Bitcoin or Ethereum. Why is it irresponsible? Because these bets don't happen. Never in history were you able to buy something at $400 and 10 years later sell it for 80,000 or 60,000. I'm speaking Canadian. $60,000. Never have you been able to buy something Ethereum at $120 3 years ago, and now it's $2,400. The bottom line is, if it goes all the way down, so be it. And if it 10x's, great. But everybody should make this gamble with at least 10%, no more than 20, but somewhere between 10 and 20% of your savings. You will never have this opportunity again. It has never happened in the past. It likely won't happen in the future. Make the bet. Steve?
Once again, I'll do my financial disclaimer for all the legal people talking to me, right? Prez is not a financial advisor. He is a trader. He is a speculator. This is our opinion, and this is what Prez recommends doing with his personal amount. But once again, talk to your financial advisor. But hey, look, I agree.
Don't talk to your financial advisor. Steve, in all seriousness.
No, but they won't tell you to do it, but I'm just saying they won't. And that's exactly why this is speculation and trading. You have to have a certain amount of your bankroll for speculation and trading, just like when sports betting, if you want to have a speculative futures bet or whatnot. Quickly on this, so John Ryan and I did our Tuesday financial podcast yesterday on Predictive Playbook. Go back on my Twitter handle. You can find the link at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L on Twitter. We wanted to get you on. He wanted to get you on yesterday, Prez, because Bitcoin was soaring, but I told him you had the Aquatic Olympics yesterday, but we're going to get you on here in the near future to talk more about it. I said last week on John's show, when Bitcoin was hitting below 30 for the first time all year, that if it held that 29 to 30, and you've heard me say it for weeks, that 30 was the floor. It held the 29, it held the 30, and it soared up Sunday night when the future markets reopened. It's been up near 40. It's 39.9 right now.
Yep.
I think that was the bottom. I wish more people could have gotten in at 32 or 33 on Friday. But look at the risk reward. Everything's risk reward, whether it's sports betting or investing.
Exactly.
Even if this goes to zero, your risk is 40,000, and it could easily go to 100, 200,000. So it's still got a great risk reward. Like to buy it a little bit on pullbacks, but I definitely would be looking to get in sooner than later right now, because I agree with you. I think that floor is in. Keep in mind, it was 60,000 2-3 months ago. It was 30,000 July 1st. And all the speculators have been washed out the last couple months. 30 is the real support level for the long-term buy and holders. And there's a lot of upside now. I'm bullish once again for Bitcoin.
Listen, we got to bring Art in, but I just want to quickly say, guys, I know a lot of you guys everybody's in a different financial bracket. And for the young kids out there who are listening, the 20-year-olds that are trying to amass wealth as they move into the next phase of their lives, don't worry about Bitcoin. It's out of your league, and I respect that. Cardano, ADA, it's a buck. What is it right now, Steve? It is $1.30 Canadian. So it's about $1 American. I think if you can come in buying ADA, that's where I would start if I were you guys, and maybe flip it in the next couple of weeks to move up to Ethereum if you can make some money. And that's how you'll eventually get up to Bitcoin. But if you're trying to amass wealth fast, I think ADA probably has, from a short-term perspective, the biggest upside and is definitely worth the risk. Arhtur DiCesare, that's $100 to you for the financial advice. Welcome to WagerTalk Today.
Gentlemen, good morning. Pleasure to be here as always.
What we were talking about?
I want to know
Say
when
that again,
sportsbooks are
Prez?
going to start accepting Bitcoin, Art, for payments on their tickets.
Yeah, I think we're a long ways away from that, my friend.
Art, did you write down the advice we gave out?
I did. I just called up Chase and I got 15% going into Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm going with no, you didn't, but it's nice to see you, man. Love the button. Love the button at the top, Steve. Did you ever wear the top button buttoned up on a polo t-shirt?
I actually accidentally did it almost on the show yesterday, because when I had these shirts sitting on the couch and I rotate them, because it's not like I go out in public in them, because I don't I never wear anything with a collar except for here, and I'll do it as I'm getting ready, Art. Just
No, don't do it.
right,
I can't look at both of you guys like that. No.
No,
I'm
just saying
suffer
it's
through
close
Art
because I had to get the collar down today, so I had to budget momentarily. Wrinkles.
Yeah, Arhtur DiCesare, what's going on at the LINQ, man? I mean, we have a little bit of a lull in sports now that NHL and NBA are done. We don't have any big golf tournaments on the horizon. The next big tennis tournament, well, it's going to be the biggest tennis tournament in history of tennis, and that's in September. You have the Olympics going on. Is it a happening thing, the Olympics there? Fill us in on what the hell's going down right now.
Yeah, Prez, we've talked about this before on the show. Listen, the Olympics is getting its bets, it's getting the people coming in. Last night, a lot of people wanted to bet on the swimming, so we had some swimming action. Obviously, men's basketball, women's soccer, women's basketball, always going to kind of move the needle. People want to root for America. So, okay, we'll come in, put some money down on that. But it's few far and in between. Listen, baseball's still moving the needle for us right now. Obviously, it's slow, but a week from tomorrow we have preseason football. So, I mean, we're basically in football season. We're starting basically every other day, rolling out new propositions for the NFL season. Yesterday we had to make the playoffs. We had quarterback touchdown passes over under. So you really are starting to feel the football season coming.
Actually, Art, I want to get to some baseball with you, but quickly, though, while we have the NFL on topic, Aaron Rodgers' situation. We had Dave Sharapan on yesterday. He mentioned, a lot of books just took it down. A few out there, one of them put up 40-1 and got some bets on that for the Super Bowl. I wish I'd gotten in on that. How did the LINQ handle that the last few days with all that craziness when he announced last Friday? The rumors came out that he was going to be traded to retire. His season win total went to 8.5, a lot of spots, and then boom, he's good for the year now. Any quick thoughts on the Packers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just kind of just treated it as, listen, we heard the rumors. We took it down. It was probably down for 48 hours. Listen, I don't think most of us thought that he was going to retire. Obviously, he was trying to, force the Packers' hand or whatever you want to say. But, once we knew he was coming back to camp, we put the numbers back up at where they were. We never were at a 40-1 or anything like that. So we just treated it as, let's protect ourselves. We took it off for about 48 hours. And now it's back up, business as usual.
Arhtur DiCesare, Race and Sports, a book supervisor at the LINQ. Art, baseball going on right now. Do you have any bets you can give out to our listeners?
When I'm looking at the baseball card today, there was a couple things that jumped out. First one would be Reds-Cubs. Reds-Cubs, we opened that total at 9.5, moved to 10. Not a lot of times do you see a total move First 2 games have gone over. That's been a wild series so far. There's basically been runners on base every inning. There's been a lot of runs scored. So we did move that total to 10. So people jumped on that 9.5, taking the over. Big matchup. Obviously, you got to talk about Dodgers and Giants in the NL West. We opened Dodgers minus 146, moved to 133. So you've seen some Giant money come in. The Giants just won't go away. They're just a team that, I didn't believe in, but I'm starting to believe in. I really am. I mean, this has been over 100 games, and they're not going anywhere. And, obviously with the trade deadline coming up, a lot of these teams are going to make moves. So early today, you've seen some Giant money come in. That's why it's moved the total it's moved the number almost 15 cents.
Art,
hey, Art, Prez, I was going to ask him real quick. Any future actions coming in? I'd ask Rob Veno about the NL East. Obviously there's a couple races that are pretty much over, but any quick thoughts on them? A few futures, people still playing them. Do you guys have divisional odds or any of your personal thoughts on that?
Yeah, division odds we still have up. Like you said, it's definitely, some of these divisions are done. But I think obviously a very interesting one, AL East. You basically have a 2-horse race. I'm not going to put the Yankees or Blue Jays in there. But, we have Red Sox sitting at minus 110. You could take Tampa at plus 130. Tampa obviously made the move to get Nelson Cruz. You figure the Red Sox are going to make a move, and Tampa could still make a move. Maybe Chris Bryant. Who knows? Maybe Boston's in on Scherzer, even though Scherzer looks like he wants to go to the West Coast. And then obviously the NL West is very interesting. Dodgers are still minus $2 at minus 200. You have right behind the Giants at plus 240, and then you have the Padres at plus 280. So, depending on maybe if Scherzer goes to one of those teams, that could swing the pendulum there if you're taking, division odds. And, Padres sitting at 8-1 to win the World Series. They got Frazier. Maybe they get Scherzer. Not bad value at 8-1.
Arhtur DiCesare, great follow on Twitter at ArtDice21. Art, let's talk win-loss totals in NFL and college football. Couple of questions. Number one, what type of action are you taking on those already 4 or 5 weeks before the seasons are about to begin? And anything that's jumped out at you that's worth betting?
Yeah, so Prez, when I'm looking at the win totals, college football, we basically just put out last week. So they've been sitting out for a week, little over a week. I don't think we'll really start to see those numbers move. Obviously college football starts a little bit earlier in the NFL, but we'll start to see those, kind of move in the next couple of weeks. NFL's been out for a while. So, the hot teams that are going to get a lot of action, a lot of Browns overs. People still want to take the Chiefs over. A lot of Texans under, even though the Texans are the lowest at 4.5. Obviously the Raiders are always going to get a play, and they're always going to get a play on the over because they're the local team. So you've kind of seen that, but nothing really crazy. Obviously, as we talked about the Packers were taken off the board. So a lot of people jumped maybe on the Vikings over while the Packers were kind of in flux there for a little bit. So those are kind of the teams that have been, the ones that I've been keeping my eye on.
Art, what is the most bet NFL future that the LINQ has taken so far? Not the biggest dollar amount, but what team just keeps coming up?
Oh, Prez, it's got to be the Browns to win the Super Bowl. I mean, when we originally opened that number, listen, I'm with you. It was the same last year. We took so much Brown money. Listen, the Browns had a good year. Obviously they were in that divisional game against
shocking.
It is shocking, but I'll say this. The Midwest comes, man. The Midwest travels. Brown fans are everywhere. So the Browns were like 25-1. They went to 20-1. They get Clowney. They go to 16-1. Now they're sitting at 12-1, and the money just keeps rolling in on the Browns. It would not shock me if by kickoff, September 9th for the NFL season, the Browns are 10-1, which is unbelievable to think about. It really is. But yeah, it's the Browns to win the Super Bowl. That money just keeps coming in.
Art, Carmine has a funny saying. Bet $100 on the Browns at plus 1,600 to win the Super Bowl, and you will make negative $100. I mean, I think the Browns are a good team, bro. But Tennessee, Kansas City, and the Buffalo Bills, all three of those teams are better. If I were flying down to your book and I was a casual recreational bettor and I just wanted a rooting interest all the way through, I would take the Bills. Steve, who would you?
Yeah, I mean, well, my classmate at William & Mary, Sean McDermott, I root for the Bills for that reason. Mike Tomlin as well, but there's a little tension there with, within the organization right now. Gabe Morency, who I talked about earlier, big Bills fan, he's talked about it for weeks about, this whole COVID vaccine thing. The Bills franchise is the one poster child of that now, where there's some rumblings within that organization. Whether that ends up becoming an issue or not would be my concern. But Buffalo's loaded. I will say at 25-1, I could see a little value with Cleveland. Yeah, but not anymore. Art at 10-1. I mean, that train has sailed.
Yeah.
That ship has sailed. That train has left the station. As far as the value goes.
Art, what do you got to promote?
As always, gentlemen, the LINQ. Just come down, check us out. We got the fan caves rocking and rolling. Once again, one of the best spots to watch any sporting event on the Strip. I'm always there to say hi and, give advice, teach people. Every day I'm teaching someone, we have so many new bettors coming in. I'm teaching them what ML means, what over-under means. So I'm always there to, walk you through parlays, walk you through anything you need to. And just come down to the LINQ and say hi, guys.
Well, I will be there. I'm coming down September 30th, Art, and
get ready.
Maybe I'll stay at the LINQ. I got to figure it out. I'm coming down to play poker, man. The World Series of Poker starts. I'm going to catch the first 4 or 5 events, then come home, then go back. I'm going to be in and out of Vegas moving forward all the time. So me and you are going to hang out. You are going to take me for a very expensive meal, and I'm looking forward to that. But in all seriousness, totally off topic, my favorite restaurant in Vegas, Mesa Grill. Nobody says that, Art. Nobody.
I've been to Mesa.
Wow, Bobby Flay.
That's a Bobby Flay restaurant. Yeah, I've been there years ago. Yeah.
Dude, all of these steakhouses, STK and SW and Barry's and Harry's and Melissa's and the Del Monaco or whatever at the Venetian, all of these places, they have one thing in common. They're not Bobby Flay.
Hey, Prez, we got to give the LINQ a prop though here. Art, best place to eat at the LINQ on the Las Vegas Strip.
Oh, the hamburgers are amazing at the LINQ.
Oh, we got Guy Fieri's. Absolutely. Yeah, that place is. And listen, if you want like breakfast all day, which I'm a breakfast all day type of guy, you go to the Hash House, man. You can get breakfast all day. Nothing better than that.
Yep. I have eaten there many. Yeah, I've eaten at the Hash House many, many times, Art. Brother, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday. Daniel's son, throw me into that penalty box. Hey guys, just a quick shout out to all the people watching on Twitter. You missed a great show, WagerTalk Today. Literally the best sports gambling daily show on the planet. Different guests all the time. We take apart not all the games, but many of the important games for that day, and also give out a whole lot of crypto advice. Today's show had Rob Veno and Arhtur DiCesare, sports book. So I can't even remember. Sports and
Supervisor.
Sports. Oh my lord!
Race.
Oh my lord,
Race.
Steve, what is it?
Sports and race.
What is it?
Supervisor. Race and sports book supervisor.
Sports book supervisor at the LINQ. An unbelievable friend. And Art, sorry for messing that up.
The Hash House.
Yeah. Right by the Hash House. Anyway, real quick, I am on a 21-7 baseball run. I have a baseball play up. It goes tonight. 21-7 baseball run. So check that out. I have 3 bets for you guys today. All 3 I am betting, but they did not make my card. San Francisco and the Dodgers. I took them under last night for an easy W. I'm going straight back to the well. I'm going under the total in the San Fran game tonight. I like the Jays over in the Steven Matz game, and I like the Brewers on the money line. That's it for us. What an outstanding show. Thank you guys all for joining us. Tomorrow, Dave Koken will be with us. Carmine is joining us to talk some soccer, and we will find another guest. Steve, I got a golf game. I got to run. Take us home.
Yeah, I've actually got a brand new guest for us tomorrow, so we're confirming it as we speak. So I think we're good. By the way, I'm looking at the LINQ website right now. Guy Fieri's got something there too. I'm hungry, man. I got to go eat, Prez. You always make me hungry. Great having Arhtur DiCesare, race and sportsbook director at the LINQ on the Las Vegas Strip. Art Dice 21 on Twitter. Rob Veno, WagerTalk.com. Rob Veno Sports on Twitter. Prez and myself, Steve Merril, on WagerTalk.com. Follow me at Steve Merril, 2R's, 1L. And most importantly, have a great Wednesday. Best of luck tonight, and check back tomorrow on Thursday, noon Eastern, for more Wager Talk Today. We'll talk to you then.
Are you ready for football season? Yes, you heard right. The NFL kicks off in less than 50 days, and Wager Talk and Gold Sheet have you covered with the new Gold Sheet NFL Summer Guide. The Gold Sheet NFL Summer Guide is over 80 pages of actionable NFL handicapping information to help you prep for this season from a betting perspective, and best of all, the guide is free. This includes lines for every NFL game, schedule with Ralph Michaels' exclusive power ratings, position-by-position breakdown with every NFL player that made a start last season, exclusive NFL health reports for each team, and much more. Just go to thegoldsheet.com, and the guide is available on the front page with no sign-up or information needed.